to Ladies of the PGS. I am your host, Art, and of course, I have my co-host with me today, Reina Creole. Reina, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Having an eye out for the hurricane that's coming our way, but no worries, no worries. Everything's gonna be fine. All prepared. Just gonna chill, have a hurricane party.
I hope that this hurricane comes and makes a turn, passes by, just goes into the ocean or something, doesn't hurt any of the surrounding islands. Um, and honestly, we have been lucky this year
True.
and
Hmm.
praying that the luck continues and grateful for it being, especially, anybody on the eastern seaboard, we all share that concern. Specifically, just praying that it stays this way. Um, there is that, and of course, Lorena, this is our 50th show.
Yes, yes, it is indeed. I can't believe it. We've had so much fun. The time has just blown by, and we've had such awesome support from our viewers.
Absolutely, Lorena. I can't believe it myself. Of course, you and I have been streaming for quite a long time now together.
Yes.
And we are already doing another show called Toxic Male Appreciation on your channel,
Hmm.
which has been a phenomenal show. I have enjoyed every single minute that we get to do that show. And so then we started to do this show together, which is something I always wanted to do with you as well. And I can't get over it. An entire year of Ladies of the PGS certainly covered so many different things. A lot has happened. Oh my gosh. In the world of entertainment over this past year, guys, next week, Lorena and I won't be on Ladies of the PGS. We're going to start the new season 2, on September 11th, which is a Monday, which is 2 weeks from now. But Lorena, I am just so pleased as punch that we started to do this. This is just such a highlight of the week for me, coming in on Monday, knowing that you and I are going to do the lowdown of what's going
Yes.
on here on the Burnettwork. And it's such a pleasure to work with you. Either on my channel, your channel, this channel. We have had such a blast over the past few years, Lorena.
I know.
It really is just amazing. And I've grown so much. You've been such a fantastic friend. This has been such a great partnership that I have with you. And I'm so grateful that you have agreed to do this show all this time. It has been so much fun. Thank you for everything.
Oh, you are welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate your friendship, but I'm always glad to pass the blessings on to you. I've been so proud of how your own channel has grown and how you've just, injected so much of just fun and positivity into the programming here on the Burnettwork. And from a purely superficial standpoint, it's a show I don't have to program, so I can just hang out, hang out and chime in, which I am more than happy to do because I love streaming with you, my dear. It's uh, there's a reason we get along, so well. And who do we have to thank for that? Kevin Smith and Masters of the Universe Revelation. So
Absolutely, Lorena. 2 or 3 years ago, we had a very similar experience online on a channel, which, yeah, I guess we first appeared together and certainly had a very unique experience on that one, and certainly changed quite a few things. And I think it's very interesting. Um,
mhm.
how things have worked out since then, and how, honestly, how we've both expanded into different venues too. And it's such a creative part of all of this, and a lot that part of the reason why we do these shows, honestly, is because we want to give, kind of like, here are other people's views, here are our views too, but just kind of talk about some things that we don't necessarily hear all the time, especially with the show and Toxic Male Appreciation, because we saw things that we didn't necessarily care for, and we brought it to people's attention, and we wanted to make people aware that not everybody feels that way, and there's different views, and we do value men, and things like that. It's a lot
Mhm.
of that went into it as well. But I also think that it is very interesting to see how important, and you and I were talking about this the other day, how important social media and YouTube is now in the entertainment industry. And
Mhm.
from the review that you and I did the other day, we can see it is here to stay. These social media outlets are here to stay, and it will continue to have a huge influence over how a lot of these events are remembered because we're covering it and talking about it and
Mhm.
expressing our opinions. And I think that is important. It's a huge contribution in that regard. So I'm proud to be part of it and proud to go along, have you, as a partner here. And certainly it's just been so wonderful doing all this. So I want to thank you again. And I also want to thank all the viewers. And of course, Tom Jr. Jackson, who is the moderator, who's been here since day one. He's
Yes.
a huge part of the Burnettwork family. He's a moderator, a collaborator, and a good friend. He's a good friend too. Yeah, on top of all of that, yeah, he's a very good friend.
He's our hype man.
He is. He really is. He's always doing things for us, going that extra step, posting stuff to X, I guess now, whatever, wherever
Yeah.
he posted,
Yeah.
letting people know, oh, by the way, and so much more. Thank you, Tom, for everything that you do. You've been here since day one, as we said, and I appreciate everything that you've done for us and pretty much for everybody, because you're always doing something for someone. So it is greatly appreciated. Now it is very interesting, Lorena, because this is going to be a shorter show. It's right before the holiday weekend. I hope everybody has a lot of plans or fun things
Yes.
planned for the upcoming weekend. I'm kind of like not going to be streaming very much. I think I have maybe one or two streams. And I know a lot of people just take a little bit of time off right now just to kind of enjoy the holiday. But we could not ignore this Ahsoka series that has come up. First thing they did, Lorena, the first thing that they did was that they changed the time that the series was supposed to be. I've been getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning for a good past year and a half.
I thought about you when they did this.
Yes. And, and so they changed the time and I said, oh my gosh, I don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That kind of felt very good. And I thought to myself, wow, are they listening to what fans want? But then I realized, and someone had mentioned to me that maybe one of the reasons why they changed it is because of this strike that doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. And
Mhm.
I actually don't know the reason why, but they can change it. Lorena, they can change it in a second, in a heartbeat. Why do you think they changed the time of the show? Just out of curiosity.
I think they most likely did it to fall in line with a lot of other shows. For example, House of the Dragon. Everybody was either in front, well, can't won't say everybody. We'll say the people who wanted to watch it were either in front of their televisions, on their smartphones, in front of their PCs, hitting refresh, hitting refresh, hitting refresh. The same thing, I believe, that they did with Outlander. They had a certain time that they would just put it out there and everyone knew around what time it was going to be. And you were most likely, going to sit there in front of it. And I think in a way it took out the hubris of we're going to air it Pacific time, that late, Pacific time. People are like, no, I don't have time to deal with that. Even if it was, say, scheduled for 9 p.m. Pacific, at least when it was going to be on a reasonable time. But that seems to be the model. Again, Max has done it. I don't think Amazon hasn't done. They just dump it all out there in the same thing. They're kind of like Netflix. So they just dump the whole season. But episodic television, I've seen that happen more and more and more. Even my favorite guilty pleasure, 90 Day Fiance. They have one that drops on Sunday at 8 p.m., one that drops on Monday at 8 p.m., and another one that drops the same day, the same evening at 10 p.m. And it's all scheduled. So I think Disney figured out, okay, well, maybe this probably isn't the best model and follow what everyone else is doing. But I honestly think House of the Dragon is what really put it over the edge.
Interesting. And I'm kind of glad that happened because it's more, as far as I'm concerned, it's more of what we know, just in general for television, a 3 a.m. wake up call for, a show is a lot to ask for. And for me, I do actually watch similar shows like 90 Day Fiance. I like
Mhm.
the Amish show. That show. Is it called?
Return to Amish.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
show. I spent a lot of Sundays watching that show. And certainly you're right. It would come on in those dates. And then it's like what you would normally expect, after work or something like that. And I think that normalcy of a routine is more realistic, especially, now at a time where with this strike, it feels like everything is just so oddly placed and unsettled, but at least you can kind of look and say, oh, that comes on at 8 o'clock or whatever time it's supposed to be. So they switched the time, Lorena. They switched the time, from, I guess it would have been 3 a.m. in the morning, to a regular network style airing of the
Mhm.
show. And they debuted 2 episodes.
Right.
And it was great that they did that. I think they could have gone for 3, but I'm not complaining, but I'm not upset about that. I'm just saying that it would have seemed to make sense to go for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
However, I find it very interesting that, we have such great expectations for Ahsoka, and this is really going to be this is essentially, and of course, the series is not close to even being over. We're just right on the cusp of trying to figure out how the series is going to go down. But I think it is interesting. This is really the first time we're seeing Ahsoka in this time period as an adult. And I had mentioned to you, the last time that I even really learned much about her, let's say personally, was from a book called Ahsoka. There was like one of those books about her, kind of like similar to how they wrote the books with the Thrawn series. There's an Ahsoka book, and in the book, Ahsoka talks about everything that's going on and how things are. And of course, by that time, she had already left. I believe she had already left the Jedi Order by that time. So it was a book where she's kind of off on her own. And I wondered
Mhm.
if we were going to get a story that was kind of similar to this, where she kind of talks and tells us what's going on, but she's been kind of quiet. Are you surprised at how quiet she's been in the first 2 episodes?
I'm very surprised, and honestly very disappointed. A little background: I did not watch Rebels, and I don't plan to. It's kind of like telling somebody you have to watch Rebels before you watch this, like telling somebody you got to watch Godfather Part 1 before you watch Godfather 2. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Um, I'm excited because I'm a Rosario Dawson fan, so I love her acting. I didn't know much about Ahsoka, and of course, as a special effects. I love special effects makeup, so definitely the makeup for Ahsoka just it blows me away every time I see it because I'm thinking of all the time and the artistry that gets put into it, and it just looks gorgeous. So I was excited. I thought we were going to hear more and see more expression, and sorely disappointed. They just painted her as extremely stoic. It seemed like her facial expression hardly ever really hardly ever really changed, and we didn't really get a depth of range from her. And I don't know if that's the script or the director, because sometimes you can have a stellar actor, but the directing is just not up to not up to par. And when we've seen her, when we first see her, because I believe we first saw her in The Mandalorian, she had much more range in that episode with that face off with Morgan, which was freaking kick ass. Okay. It was. So I'm hype. I'm like, Ahsoka series, let's go, let's go. But hardly anything from her. And I'm like, I don't understand that. This is your main character. And it just wasn't happening. So that sorely disappointed me as a fan of the actress and of a fan of the character in in general. And I don't know, um, especially from the first episode, I don't know what was going through Dave Filoni's mind directing it, but it's like I feel like there was talent wasted on the shelf, and she deserves so much more than what this episode gave her. At least the first one.
Yeah, I mean, Ahsoka is an incredibly an incredibly talented, let's say, former Jedi, if I'm going to put it that way, and describe her as she describes herself. And certainly, she's going to change through the years, but it feels like she is very, very quiet. And one of the things that I questioned had to do with the fact that, of course, in the beginning of the episode, guys, there are spoilers here. The next episode is tomorrow, and I'm just verbally saying it. But one of the things I questioned had to do with the fact that she, I guess, has this mentorship, or did have a mentorship with Sabine. This is Sabine, who's one of the characters, Lorena, that would be new to you because you did not watch Rebels. So this is a new young lady. She's a Mandalorian. And she is supposedly was a former mentor of Ahsoka. And what I found kind of odd about the situation was, Ahsoka goes to this place, she retrieves this wayfinder. She shows it to Sabine. Mm-hmm. They're trying to crack the code. And Sabine says, Ahsoka says, you got to look at it here, stay here at the main base where, we're working. And Sabine wants to take it away and work on it. And what I found odd was that I felt like Ahsoka should have said, well, something, the reason why I don't think you should go away with it is because I had to kill like 4, death droids, or, whatever kind of attack droids these are, in order to get it. They were hunting me down because they wanted it. And I'm afraid that if you go out with it, then someone might come after you. And of course, that's exactly what happens. And so I kind of question that a little bit because, regardless of how the relationship may be, if there's some tension between her and the young girl, even if this young girl wouldn't listen to her, she still should have said something. What do you think, Lorena? What do you think about that?
I think that she should. It's like you have this relationship, like Sabine being, I guess, her former mentee or a Padawan, although I have to back up a little bit. I do believe, or so I had been told, that Ahsoka wasn't really a Jedi. That's just what people told me, that she wasn't a Jedi. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not the case. Okay, well, all right, we'll go with it, with what's up, with what's on screen. I just really should have felt that there was more emotion. It seems like they were kind of just standing there, as opposed to feeling it through the dialogue and the direction of, you abandoned me. This isn't right. There should be some kind of, how would I put this? Some kind of unrestrained tension going on. And it didn't really happen. And I think that instead of putting the time into that, we saw the Top Gun scene. I'm always going to call it the Top Gun. They ripped that sucker right off of Top Gun. But yeah, I mean, there should have been more there, more to that, more dialogue to that. That is a relationship. When you're talking about exposition through relationship, the words need to be there. And we'll say the words and the gravitas need to be there. And it wasn't, which is a real shame.
Yeah, it wasn't there. And of course we're looking for it. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for this incredible relationship that she has with Sabine, and we want it to be incredible. And certainly it doesn't mean that it isn't. It's just that we weren't given that. And we are kind of seeking it. And I think part of the reason why we're seeking it is because they're the main characters in the story. We don't want there to necessarily be too much tension and it be awkward. And it was a little awkward, although here she is, of course, with the Wayfinder,
MacGuffin.
Had to get and work with and everything.
I'm sorry, that looked like the Hellraiser puzzle. I had to put it out there. Okay, just how it opened up and you saw the lights, and I swear I thought like the Cenobites were going to come out. Anyway, I was just saying.
No, I understand how you feel, and I certainly do get that. The person who comes for her, it's actually this lady here, a new Jedi who's there. And of course, I kind of skipped over the beginning where we got to see Ray Stevenson, who, by the way, looked incredibly hot.
You did.
I was like, my mouth was watering. Sorry, guys, but it's the truth. And may he rest in peace. Oh my
Mhm.
God, he looked so damn good in this show.
Yeah, he did, not gonna lie.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, we need to talk about him in Toxic Male Appreciation. He was
We might have
stunning
to.
in this. He was in RRR, if you remember,
Yes,
Lorena.
he was. Yeah.
He was I think he might have been the main baddie, but I
Yeah, he was the
remember
main baddie.
he was, right?
Yeah.
Um, and he was amazing in that. He certainly brought a lot to the table as this character. And guys, forgive me for not knowing all the names of everybody. It's not even so much the names; it's the notion of what each of these characters are representing. Because when I saw Ray Stevenson, he took my breath away, and I wasn't expecting that. Lorena, did he not grab you? And it's true that these guys who are guarding this prison thing, honestly, they would let anybody in at this point. It's like I'm kind of joking about it, but it kind of felt like they would let anybody in. When he walks in there, it's like something's going down. But
Oh yeah.
he comes in there and he's all big and burly and manly, and I'm like, yeah, like it feels good. And I'm like, something, these are not Sith, like the worst, meanest, I guess, Force users out there. They're dark side
Mhm.
users, but boy, do I like him. He is just, I would follow him. I would be like the girl who's with him. I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll follow. All right, we're going down this road. I get on the back of the motorcycles. I tell you, I just get on the back and hold on tight. You just hold on tight with this guy because he was so compelling. I think that he brought a lot of sex appeal into, like, let's say perhaps a sexless show, a show that's not going to have, but he can't help it. He's so darn attractive that when you see him in the armor and his, and he's there, and this is not the best picture of him, but, and, you can just see, oh, he's incredible. I mean, the casting, Lorena, of him and his apprentice is just phenomenal. And that's exactly what I was expecting. When that happened in the episode, I was
Mhm.
thrilled, pleased as punch.
Yeah,
I
likewise.
the young lady who's with him, also very ominous and strong, and she looks very fierce and a force to be reckoned with. So I felt those two characters certainly came in barnstorming, even though they took Elspeth away. Like she knew she was being rescued, and as I said, she's wearing yellow, but it's like yellow is the new black, right? She's in prison, she's running the show from behind bars, she's all up cool and everything, and they take the little prison things off of her. She takes them off. She's like, so tell me what's been going on the outside, like she's it was, I just kind of got a kick out of it. However, you couldn't ignore how compelling Ray Stevenson was along with his apprentice. What did you think, Lorena?
I freaking loved it. I loved seeing him. I love Ray Stevenson in RRR's Perfect Baddie. So when I'm watching this, and I guess the New Republic, God bless them, they seems like sometimes some of the most incompetent people in the world. Like, this code, yeah. And you're thinking, okay, don't let him on the ship. Okay, yeah, we'll allow it. We'll allow it. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck. And then Ray Stevenson's character walks in. I'm like, okay, I'll allow that. I'll allow that. How he talks, down. This is acting in spite of Dave, in spite of Dave Filoni, where the gravitas of his voice, like, you know, uh, you have what I want and you are going to give it to me. So pour one out for the Mon Calamari, because I knew he was a red shirt as soon as he started talking. He just like took him out. But when you see the two of them, without a doubt, I'm thinking, well, they're not adhering really to the rule of two, but you see the two of them, and it's very obvious that they are Sith Master and apprentice. And I love the gravitas he brings with this being a very serious character, which is something that we didn't see in Book of Boba Fett. Definitely didn't see it in Kenobi. I'm going to take Andor out of the equation because I did not finish watching that show. But that is, if I did have to give credit to this episode for something, it's for Ray Stevenson's character. I did like him.
Yeah, and Alexander Dupas, you get an honorable mention here saying,
Yeah.
my God, he's so hot.
Hot Sith Bear Daddy.
Daddy, yes. And apprentice Dakota Fanning, who's about to kick ass and take names. We're talking hardcore. This is the intensity that I think they scored, did perfectly here. And, even through episodes, let's say episodes 1 and 2, they have such a great presence. So it's not a surprise that she ends up doing something to Sabine Lorena that, I think everybody expected Sabine to die from. And of course, I'm talking about the fact that she does end up stabbing Sabine in the side of her body. There's no other way to say it. It's like she got stabbed by a lightsaber. I even saying it, I feel weird saying it, even though I know we've seen people get stabbed by lightsabers in Star Wars before, but something about it feels very street all of a sudden. I don't know. Maybe it's because Sabine walked away from it. What are your thoughts about the injury or the attempt to injure Sabine, or how she got injured and how she recovered? What are your thoughts on that?
I have several. The first one is, granted, as someone who's watched the films 1 through 6, because I don't want to think about 7 through 9. I thought lightsaber to the chest equals immediate dirt nap. Okay. That was my understanding. So to have that happen and Sabine just basically be able to recover from that doesn't sit well. And the reason why it doesn't, because when I watched that, and the scary thing is, I knew she was going to be okay in the second episode, because I mean, come on, she's going to be through this whole show. I see that injury and her basically walking away from that injury, and I go back to Revenge of the Sith. And I go back to Order 66, which Ahsoka really should not be around because of Order 66. That scene where you see Anakin and his whole posse just decimating, all the Jedi in the Jedi Temple. And that starts happening after all that happens, and you see those scenes where you see, like the stormtroopers turn on the Jedi and they're just cutting them down. And that one scene where that one Padawan, he goes out swinging because he's trying to get Bail Organa out there safely, and then you see Yoda just start to collapse and clutch his chest because they knew that they were all dead. To have Sabine come back from an injury like that, to me, it to me it cheapens that scene, and I don't like that. I would have rather Sabine would have spent some extra time in the Bacta tank if you're going to go that way. Don't make it seem as like, oh, you can stab her with the lightsaber, and next episode, boom, guess what? She's up, running, talking, whatever. It doesn't follow. Again, if somebody saw Rebels and there's something different, okay, I get that. But as someone who has not seen Rebels, and for people who probably will not see Rebels, they just want to find out about Ahsoka Tano. That doesn't fit, and to me, that's a failure of writing. I mean, when you see people get killed in soap operas or presumed dead in soap operas, they do not pop up the next episode and they're okay.
Yeah, this is a really good point, and it is something that everybody is talking about, and we have no choice but to talk about it because it's so unbelievable. I'm sorry about the advertisements, and of course, I have an article up here, and it's showing you everything that I let me get out of this page. It's showing you everything that I have been like shopping for. Yeah, it is concerning because she has this stab scene. And at first I was very excited about it. And I also want to thank Tom G. Jackson for the $5 super chat, who says, happy 50th episode to my two favorite lovely ladies. Here's to another 50 and more. And Lorena, it is my pleasure being your hype man. Yes.
Oh, well, thank you, my dear.
I just love that, Tom. Thank you so much for all the support and for everything. And we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much.
Mhm.
Um, and as Chef Nation says, walk it off, girl. You'll be okay. Yep. Shake it off. Shake it off. She also fights one of those death droids, Lorena, the same death droid that Ahsoka had to use her lightsaber against. She's using her
Mhm.
bare hands. And yes, yes, I am shopping for Sith robes. How did you know? Um, she uses her bare hands against this droid. And I'm like, that's a HK-98 assassin droid or something like that. It's very dangerous. Um, she'd break an arm if she were wearing her Mandalorian armor. Perhaps, maybe then she'd have like the power in those in the pieces in the armor.
Yeah, because of the Beskar that's in it.
So that was kind of weird. Thank you, and I promise you, I will use this browser extension. I promise you, going forward. But I had to ask that question because I think a lot of people were wondering that, and it's not exactly anything that we were expecting to see. And certainly, and some people have said, oh, it's slightly to the right, and maybe it hit her liver, and I thought to myself, okay, but they could have injured her. She could have been injured and said, she's out for a little while. And you and I were talking about this that could have been a good motivation. Not that they were going to kill Sabine, but if she'd been injured badly, it could have been a
Mhm.
good motivation for Ahsoka. And then we could have seen Ahsoka get like, what happened? Like what? And then she could have been like, fire up the engines. It's like, get into like full on mode and figure out who did this to her Padawan. And even if it didn't result in her killing anybody, it would have been a very interesting introduction for her to confront Shin and of course Ray Stevenson's character. What do you think? Do you think that she should have at least spent a little bit more time in bed rather than playing with her handheld toy in bed trying to, I don't know, decipher some kind of droid or something?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here's the reason why. Take the sci-fi out of it. You need to establish motive, you need to establish motivation. You need to establish that point where you're going towards or heading up towards the final conflict. It's like in the hero's journey, okay? Say, for example, the mentor you think gets taken out. That's motivation for the hero to go after whoever it was who tried to take out, their master. Turns out they might take a permanent death nap, and they have this funeral scene at the end. Or guess what? Hey, it turns out that I was okay. But the fact that you don't know is what the audience needs to see. The what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. And for some of the folks who said, oh, well, it was up to the right or whatever. Okay, if we watch John Wick, all right, and he's shooting dead center mass at people, we're not assuming they're getting back up after that. Not like, oh, they shot him up, to the left. No, he's a trained assassin, knows where to shoot you. So I would think as a Sith apprentice, you are adept enough at that lightsaber to know when to go for the kill stab. I'm just saying.
I agree 100%. So that was something else that I found very interesting. Now, the next thing that I was going to say is there's another character that's in the episode, and her name is Hera. And you would
Hmm.
recognize her. She has green skin. She's a Twi'lek. Um,
Uh-huh.
and of course, yes, she's fantastic. And, she doesn't really get too much of a chance to do as much as I would normally see Hera do because she's normally
Hmm.
kind of like the head of the entire group. So, in the previous, let's say, shows that, in Rebels, she had
Hmm.
Ezra in the group who's now missing and they're looking for. She had Zeb. She had I'm trying to, I can't remember everybody in this group, but she had an entire group of people who were together with her. And she sort of was like, looked after them in a very unusual way. I mean, she had their back. And I really like that she did that. And I hope eventually Hera will develop into a character that is like that, and we do see
Hmm.
her where she has everybody's back. But as of right now, she was okay. We didn't really get as much from her. She has a son. She had a son with a Jedi, and people are asking, where is this young boy? And I'm curious. I think it's a boy. Um,
Mhm.
Everybody's like, well, where is this kid? People are asking because, she's kind of walking around. It doesn't look like anybody's around her. So I'm thinking to myself,
Mhm.
well, where's the kid? He obviously, I don't know if he has Jedi abilities, but where is he? It's interesting how everybody is kind of connected to the notion of seeing this child. And that was something else. I think a lot of people asked, where's the kid? Where is he? Um,
Mhm.
Now, the final thing that I wanted to talk about has to do with Elspeth being a Night Sister. And Elspeth, of course, is the lady who was busted out of the prison. She's very, very close to Grand Admiral Thrawn, second in command. In The Mandalorian, we learned a little bit about her. She did that great scene that you loved, Lorena. We all love that scene. Um,
Mhm.
Played by Anasanto, who is the god daughter of Bruce Lee. She's a well accomplished martial artist. I'm a huge fan of hers. When she was cast in this, I was very excited. I knew that she was accomplished when it comes to martial arts, and so was Natasha Leo Brazzotti. I'm saying her name totally wrong, but she was in a sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was great in that. So between the
Ooh.
two of them, it was a very interesting thing. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, are we going to see them fight? What's going to happen going forward? But we learned that Elspeth is a Night Sister. Now, the Night Sisters are this group of women on a planet from Darthamir, and they've got this ritual where the Force is like a religion to them. And on their planet, they can do amazing things. It's a different way of interpreting the Force. And we just learned that she was this Night Sister. And there was another very famous character who was also a Night Sister that everybody loves as well. But the point is that she is very different from everybody else. Very, very different. And I'm
Mm.
wondering where that's going to go. She was able to activate the orb thing. And, you got to see where it kind of shot to another galaxy. So they're actually saying that they're going to another galaxy. And
Mhm.
I think that is also very interesting. I was not expecting to hear that, but the thing that's really digging at me is that there's another character that used to hang out with this crew called Zeb. Now, Zeb appeared in The Mandalorian season 3. He was one of the characters. Let me see if I can pull up his picture. He is an alien, and what was interesting about him, am I going to be able to get this picture? What was interesting about Zeb was that during the Clone Wars, the Empire almost wiped out all of his people. Like they've been doing that from planet to planet, right?
Mhm.
And when they came across Zeb's people, Zeb managed to find a way to protect his people. And the way that he was able to protect them was because his people found a special location. I don't even know how to describe it in the galaxy that the Empire couldn't get to.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was like he was very, very lucky. Like, this was a very special thing. He was able to protect all of his people, or else his entire race of people would be completely extinct. So it turns out that my first thought is, I bet you, since we saw him in season 3 of The Mandalorian, that he's going to pop up now. And yes, thank you guys for the information about the concept art for Chewbacca. I have a feeling that his people may be in jeopardy again, because if they're going to
Hmm.
a different galaxy, maybe they figured out how to get to where his people are. And that's making me very worried. You would think after the empire has collapsed, things would be safe, and it's not anymore. So this is something that I find very intriguing. I don't even
Mhm.
remember all the details about his people and what their abilities are and what they can do, but it really is bothering me. I didn't expect to be bothered by this. I haven't even seen him yet, Lorena, but I'm like, different galaxy? What if they go to Zeb's galaxy? Oh no. So that is one thing that I need to find out what's going on with that.
Mhm.
But I think that if Elspeth can explain to us why this is so important to her and why she managed to survive after all, the Empire destroyed her world. They destroyed Darthamir and all the other Night
Mhm.
Sisters. So this is something else a lot of people are asking about. Why was Elspeth so special to Thrawn that she managed to survive when all the other Night Sisters did not? And that's a question that everybody is asking. What was so special about Elspeth? What kind of effect did she have over Grand Admiral Thrawn? Did she sell out everybody?
Mm,
Like, what was her story? I want to know more about why she was able to survive. And honestly, like I said, she was waiting in that prison cell, like a pro. She was just sitting there waiting. She's like, oh, I'll be out of here in a little while. Don't you guys worry, I'm cool. It's all good. Let him know
mhm,
I said, she's sending messages. I don't know how she would, but she was doing something, running the show from behind bars. She didn't look like she was a prisoner who was all freaked out. She's like, oh, good. I'm so glad that you're here now. I can get on with my day. So I am kind of curious as to how that plot is going to play out. Now we know they have this machine, Lorena. They stole this machine. They're
mhm.
corrupt guys everywhere, apparently. From what we also saw in The Mandalorian season 3, it's more corrupt than we thought. The Imperials are still there. They just have a different name tag, Lorena. They changed the name tag from Imperial to former Imperial. Do you think they're relying too much on sort of this easy escape from prison and Imperials who are so ready to just go against the Republic? What do you think?
That's an excellent question. Um, I really don't like how easy it is, and perhaps there's a part that I'm missing. I have the New Republic, okay, which apparently seems to be, the new government, but I'm not quite believing the, we'll put it quote unquote, guerrilla war that the former Imperials are waging. I mean, when dude yells out for the Empire and starts shooting people, I don't. It seems a little too convenient um, for me. Then again, I'm not watching this, but it just does. Like if there's an element like with oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I wish it was the gravitas of Ray Stevenson's character, where there's this network and they're just like, you know what, we gotta be cool. We gotta play it cool. We gotta play it cool. Bring the empire back, We shouldn't be able to tell who is and who isn't, working for the empire. And it seems to be too easily revealed exactly, who it is. So I don't know. It seems convenient. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I don't feel the stakes there yet. So perhaps it is, they're relying on something comfortable rather than, well, I'll give you the comparison. Rather than comparing it to like Andor, where I only watched 2 episodes 'cause that's all I could handle. However, even with seeing it in Andor, you understood the stakes.
Yeah.
You saw the stakes that were going on, especially when it was revealed. I'm forgetting who his name is, passing information he shouldn't been to the Empire, and just the last person that you would have thought. But it took them time to extricate that. So Andor is very good at building up the tension, slower than I would like, but you can tell the craft work that goes into it. And I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing this here. At least not with these two episodes.
Yeah, I agree. And certainly, you and I have actually spoken about this already. And I gave it like a 7, let's say for my rating of an episode, and for a number of reasons. There were things that I liked in the episode, but there were also things that I felt they could have an improvement in. Who knows, maybe in the rest of this season, Lorena, things may pick up, they may change it. We might get a shock in the next episode, and that's what I'm hoping for. But as of right now, like it's almost calm waters even. Lorena, you made your point about, that anxiety and tension doesn't really seem to be there. Even as they were chasing down, that unit that helps them to do deep space travel, I wasn't necessarily that excited about it. I felt like they should have shot the ship down, and if it lands in port, it lands in port, because if that thing goes out into space, it could be millions of people who get killed. It's kind of the lesser of two evils. I don't want it to fall in, on the harbor. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, you need to blow that ship up. I mean, you know, realistically speaking, that's what I would have done. I just would have aimed the guns at it, and that would have been the end of it. But of course, we have to have our story. Um, but let's see how it turns out. Tomorrow is another episode. Tomorrow is another day, Lorena.
Yeah, tomorrow is episode 3, and they have a lot to show me. Because how I felt was I gave episode 1 a like 3 out of 10. I gave episode 2 4 out of 10. Extra point curve on that because Rosario Dawson is in the show, but there were just general continuity and quality errors that I saw going on, and it took me out of it. So we'll see what happens with episode 3 if they can redeem themselves, because I can tell people in that second season of the Mandalorian, stuff started out as just like, what happened to my show? What happened? Are they going to finally figure it out? And like midway through, boom, then they took it over from there. But we will see what happens because they have a very good roster of actors on this show, and the writing and the directing needs to be up to par with showcasing their talent. So let's hope that happens.
Yes, let's hope that happens. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You know, in just 24 hours, we're going to have the third episode, and then of course, guys, as you know, Lorena and I will not be here on Labor Day. We are going to be off on that day. We're going to be back on Monday, September 11th. This is our 50th episode of Ladies of the PTS, and it's so wonderful. We're going to be starting season 2 on Monday, September 11th. So keep that in mind. I want to thank everybody who has been here for all these episodes. We've had such a wonderful time with all of you. I want to thank Tom G. Jackson for the super chat and thanking us and being so kind and doing so much for us there. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe to Lorena Creole's channel. Lorena, where can people find you?
Well, folks, you can find me on Instagram, just Twitter for people who don't want to read. And you can also find me on Twitter, X, whatever that thing is that they're calling it now. So you can find me there. And of course, you can find me on YouTube for various live streams, videos about pop culture, sci-fi analysis, and theme parks. Of course, I'll give you those spicy takes. You can also find on my channel for various live streams, watch parties, of course, Toxic Male Appreciation. We're starting up my Animated Life Watch Party series, so that's going to be, coming out very, 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 very soon. If you are a channel member of mine, and I hope that you are, because guess what? We're watching Ahsoka. And if you want to get an idea of what it's like to be in one of my watch parties, please do check out the episode 1 and 2 review of Ahsoka that I did. Basically pulled in my channel members because dang it, you guys just had just too much to say, and it was just hilarious. So I get to watch that with my channel members, and we break it down afterward after that. This week, Wednesday around 4:30, depending on what the weather is like, I will be live streaming from the pass holder preview of this year's Halloween Horror Nights tribute store at Universal Orlando. So I'm going to take you guys through that. There's usually just crazy theming and special effects that are in there. So we're going to check that out. And Friday, I will be live streaming from Universal Orlando I believe around 7, or is it 7:30? 7 to 7:30 p.m. First night, opening night of Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm gonna start doing my best Buffy the Vampire Slayer impression, and we're going in. We're going in.
Oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Thank you, Lorena, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay in the fandom. I got my Sunday brunch show on Sundays, although I'm not doing it this Sunday, but I'll be resuming everything after the Labor Day holiday. But also, you can find me doing watch parties with Reina on my channel too. I'm going to be starting up my new gaming for this fall. I think I'm going to be doing Alien Isolation if I can figure out how to do it. So you can see my face and also stream the game at the same time. Keep my fingers crossed. But also other things coming up. My historical series with Darth Plato on Thursdays, which will also resume after the holiday. We're going to be looking at Napoleon and a whole bunch of other historical things coming out. Lorraine and I will be back on September 11th on a Monday with Ladies of PGS season 2, guys. Season 2. Oh, it's so wonderful. And of course, guys, I just want to thank again Tom Jr. Jackson for everything. Thanks, Tom, for being so great. Tom's YouTube channel is here. He's going to be resuming his streams coming up
All
soon.
right.
Yeah, so guys, make sure you subscribe and you'll get all the announcements and alerts for his channel. And guys, subscribe to the Burnettwork if you haven't done that already. Thank you, everybody here at the Burnettwork, for everything. So appreciate you all. It's been such a pleasure doing the show. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. This upcoming weekend, Lorena, can you believe it? It's the end of the summer. No. Okay, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
It's gonna be all right. You guys have fall pumpkin spice latte season down here. It'll still be hot, but you guys you have that to look forward to. When I still lived in the Northeast, I loved fall. Loved fall.
Fall is lovely, I admit, and I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful, so grateful for all the blessings, everybody. This has been such a wonderful year, Lorena, doing this. And guys, for everybody in the chat, thank you for all your support. And guys, remember, no matter where you are out there in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.